Hey guys, it's me, New Jersey Devils. It's been a rough couple of days, but just want to let you know I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be back in the action very soon, so just keep an eye on me, cause pretty soon we're gonna be right back at it, and gonna be completely healthy, cause it's been a little while, so just want to let you guys know I'm okay. And I'll see you guys soon. So where to even begin with this week? Guess I should do an intro. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jersey Joe Show. Doing these, I guess, on a weekly basis now, so now we're going to talk about the Western Canada trip. Actually do need this bandage for my wrist, so it wasn't completely an act. I am a little bit injured, but I'm definitely not as injured as the New Jersey Devils are right now, and I'll get into that, but it has been a week that was a bit of a test, just to say the least. We went in 8-2-0 before we went to Canada. Now we're 9-3-1. Not the best. It really was not the best outcome. It wasn't the worst by far. It was a decent outcome compared to what I was afraid was going to happen, but it wasn't the best. So I think just going through each game and really talking about what was good, what was bad, and then kind of just having an overall summary of the trip itself is probably what I'm going to do today. As you all know, we went into Vancouver last week. Corey Schneider had probably his best game I've ever seen as a Devil, if not top 3, and shut out the Canucks. We won 2-0. That was a game that kind of spelled out how the rest of the games were going to play in Canada. You saw a team that couldn't get out of their own zone, that couldn't break through the neutral zone, that could not gain the offensive zone, and could never put anything on the Canucks. They really had no pressure on the Canucks the entire game. We were lucky to score the one goal we did. The second goal was an empty netter, which was almost offsides anyway. So in retrospect, it was essentially a 1-0 game, a 1-goal game, and it should have been a much different game if it wasn't for Corey Schneider. He really stole the show and was the only reason we were able to come out of there with a win. It just to be honest, we played like crap. And everyone's been saying I'm a bit too negative, I'm a bit too hard on the Devils, but I think we saw that some of my concerns were valid last week. So you see this team where you have Vancouver, who's not that great, but they know how to play a good team game. I know Hitchcock said that they had the best team game of any team in the NHL when Dallas played them last week. And you really saw that really on stage when we played them. They had just this incredible cycle game, this incredible forechecking system where it doesn't matter if you have super skilled forwards or super skilled defenders. Your team as a whole is going to be something that's incredibly hard to beat, incredibly hard to stop, and difficult to score against. And you saw that. You really did see that. There were times where the Devils had no shots on goal for minutes, where they couldn't get it out of the defensive zone for minutes. We were stuck in there. We had to ice it. We took a face-off. We iced it. We took another face-off. We were stuck in our zone again. Then we iced it. That happened more than once, and that shouldn't happen at all. We couldn't even gain the zone. We would dump and chase, and then Vancouver would get it back, and we'd start it over again. It really just was Corey Schneider who saved us. He really kept that game 1-0 for the majority of it, and then, like I said, we scored the empty netter. Only reason we won. Going into Edmonton, I was a little bit worried because our defensive lapses showed we couldn't get it out of our own zone. I wasn't able to watch all of it. I was busy that night. I had my anniversary this weekend, so I was a bit busy. And I was going to watch the replay of the Oilers game until someone basically said, it's not worth it, just watch the condensed game, which I did. And essentially what I thought was going to happen is what happened. We were able to score a bit more. Cam Talbot's having a down year. The Oilers' defense as a whole is having a down year. But the offense has been contained at a rate that was statistically just unsustainable. It was going to bounce back, and you saw that with 6 goals against by the Oilers. Corey Schneider didn't have the best game, but he also had no help with the defense in front of him. And the end result was essentially just that of a team that couldn't contain a stellar offense with the Oilers. It was a 6-3 game. It showed, again, we have the offense. If our goalies aren't stealing the game, though, we're not going to be able to win because our defense just can't fill in. It can't fill in those shoes and help the goalie if they're having a down game. They have to be constantly at the top of their game, the top performance level every single night, in and out. And sometimes when you don't have that, like Corey Schneider did, you see a 6-3 game. And then going into Calgary, it was a much better effort, but a couple of fluky goals, bad bounces, and we lose in a shootout. It was a coin flip. Calgary has one of the best defenses in the league. We still scored on them 4 times. And then you see Johnny Gaudreau and Monahan had really great games. And Kincaid let in a couple softies, at least in the shootout. And 1 or 2 of those goals I would have liked to have back. But again, this defense is just, it's very porous. It legitimately is porous. There's a lot of holes in it. And the injuries aren't helping. But I'll get to that in a bit. With the Calgary game, I'm seeing a trend with the defense where 90% of the time, for 55 minutes a night, they're competent. They're not great, but they block the passing lanes, they block the shooting lanes, they're able to get the puck out of the zone, they don't really ice it too much, they win a lot of board battles, but then there's 5 minutes a game, and not all at once, just kind of spread throughout, where they just make the most boneheaded plays, like passing to the slot, or letting Monahan completely open in the slot. All these little mistakes that almost always end up in goals. Because they leave the goalie out to dry. They're catastrophic mistakes, and I see them happening once, twice, 3 times a game. Almost never do I see the other team score, and I go, you know what, they deserve that. I think the only goal last night where I was like, you know what, Calgary deserved that was the Stone Point shot where it got tipped in. The defense was there, they were blocking the shoe lanes, it got tipped in, it was a good goal. Every other goal, though, was just something where the defense was completely out of position. Someone was wide open. No one was being covered. Someone decided to throw the puck back. Henrique wasn't covering his man on that forecheck when Butcher had, I think it knocked Monahan off or Gaudreau off of the puck. Henrique just wasn't covering his man, wide open across the slot. Like every single time Calgary scored, it was like that. And that's a trend I'm seeing. And the good thing is, though, that's fixable. Number 1, we had Santini out last night. He's our best defenseman. I think Andy Green has officially relinquished his role as being our top shutdown defenseman. I think Santini is that guy right now. At least in the sense of right now. Maybe not in 2 weeks, but in the past few games, it's been Santini. It hasn't been Green. It's been Santini. And a little bit of Severson. But even he got dropped down to the second pairing. Mueller's kind of falling into himself now. He's becoming the defenseman that I had hoped he'd be. And that's a good thing to see. So there's a lot of hope on this defense. It's just the past couple of games, especially on the road in Canada, which even though it was a really tough trip, the defense, it left a lot to be desired, to put it frankly. And I know people say I'm always negative, I'm always biased, but the thing is, statistically, we have been overperforming. But I think we're going to be able to continue this much success because all of these games were winnable. We never were dominated. We really just, again, let up for a couple of seconds at a time, and the other team capitalized, at least in the Calgary game. Edmonton game, like I said, I wasn't able to watch it, so I can't analyze it as in depth as I can the other ones. But if Henrique covers his man, it's a 4-3 game at the end of the third. We win it. It's not tied. It doesn't go in overtime. If Butcher doesn't throw a pass back to the point where no one's there, they don't get a breakaway. It's just these little 2 or 3 mistakes that they make that cost us. If those get fixed, then we're a playoff team. I really think we're a playoff team. This offense is for real. We're averaging, I think, 3.5 goals a game, if not more. We scored 3 against Edmonton, 4 against Calgary, 2 against Vancouver, 4 against Ottawa. It's just, I've never seen the Devils score this much, and that's something to be happy about. Mueller's coming into himself. Santini's coming back. We have 2 of our top 6 forwards out. We just got Brian Boyle back. We have been through a lot of adversity early on. We really have. And we're coming through with a 9-3-1 record. I think that's enough to really say, you know what, this team, they're overperforming a bit, but I think they have it in them. I think they're actually slowly pushing the bar forward to the point where we're saying, no, they're not overperforming. This is the floor. This is where they're at. We're gauging them against last year's Devils team or 2 years ago Devils team or kind of a couple other teams in the NHL right now that we should be on par with, and we're surpassing them. And so logically, you're going to sit there and say, well, no, we're not supposed to be here yet. We're not supposed to be this good. Our offense isn't supposed to be this fantastic. Our defense is supposed to be a lot worse than it is. Our goaltending is supposed to be the only thing that's good right now. And in fact, our offense is great. Our defense, again, can be fixed. And with Santini back in the lineup and Mueller developing and Severson developing, is going to be serviceable. It's going to be bottom of the league, obviously, but it's not going to be the dumpster fire I expected it to be. And Corey Schneider and Keith Kincaid have been probably the best goalie pair in the league. So there's a lot to be excited about as a Devils fan, and I just wish we could have had just get more concrete evidence of what this team is capable of in the past couple of weeks. Coming into Western Canada, like Taylor Hall said, this is going to either show us that we're a playoff team or a mediocre team, and instead, we're like, I don't really know yet. I'm not too sure. I believe that this team can be a playoff team, but there's still a lot of signs that they may not, and they may fall off, and those doubts and those fears just weren't quelled this past week, and I hope they be. That's it. That's really the end of the matter. It's still the same team it was 2 weeks ago when we were 9-1-0 or 8-1 or 8-2-0. So it's looking up. We do have a couple more games coming up. We have St. Louis at home now. We have the Panthers at home, which should be a bit of an easier game because the Panthers are falling off. But we have a few more tests in our wake, and I think by game 20, which is about a quarter of the season, we should have a good idea of where this team stands, if they're in the playoff picture or if they've just been having a hot start and they're really going to fall off. I don't think they will. I think we're playoff bound this year, and that's a complete 180 from where I was about 2 months ago. So it's looking good for us, guys. Tough trip, but that was one of the tougher trips of the season. So I think we did pretty well going 1-1-1, getting 3 out of 6 points. So that's all for me today, guys. Again, I'm going to be part of the Devil's Advocates podcast. We're having a new episode tonight, so make sure you guys watch. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.